On the evening of Sunday, August 21st, 1955, 11 people, 8 adults and 3 children, gathered at a small farmhouse in the rural hamlet of Kelly, just outside Hopkinsville in Christian County, Kentucky. The home was a modest, unpainted house with no running water, telephone, television, or radio. A typical isolated farm dwelling of mid-century Kentucky. The farmhouse belonged to 50-year-old Glennie Langford, and present that night were several of her children and extended family. Her adult sons, Elmer Sutton and Charlie Sutton, known as Lucky and JC, with their wives Vera and Aline, a family friend, Billy Ray Taylor, and his wife June, Aline's brother O.P. Baker, and 3 younger children, Lonnie, Charlton, and Mary Langford. Many of the adult men were itinerant carnival workers visiting the Langford home while stopping in while a traveling carnival was in the area. It was a hot summer night, and the group had spent a typical quiet Sunday evening together until a series of bizarre events transformed the calm into a night of terror. All witnesses later agreed that no alcohol had been consumed that day, a point confirmed by law enforcement and emphasized in official reports. This fact would become important in evaluating their credibility, as the family would soon report an extraordinary ordeal that tested their nerves and would later fuel decades of UFO folklore.
In a world full of shadows, secrets don't stay buried for long. Open the door, step into the unknown. This is the Lots Full Podcast.
Welcome back to the Lots Full Podcast, everybody. It's your hosts, Dakota and Arkansas Dave. We're getting this out a little bit late. It's been busy over here. We've been busier than 2 men in an ass kicking contest. Each of us have half a leg, so I guess that makes 1 leg.
Well, I don't know if I even got a half a leg here lately.
Well, 6 inches, that's half a foot, right?
Yeah.
So, how you been?
I've been good, buddy. Been good.
Did you do any research into this one?
No. Have not.
Good.
You kind of brought it up, but I'd forgotten the name of it. I'm like, oh, well.
Well, I wanted to start trying to do cold opens. So, what's it called? That's what we did there. Guys, y'all let us know if you like it better that way or what, but something new. Just trying something new here.
Something new and exciting.
Yeah. This is a topic. So years ago when I was just a wee Texan, all right, I watched this TV show. I don't even remember what it was, but they had a dramatized recreation of this event. And I remember seeing it, and I remember it terrifying the fuck out of me. And, but I never really knew any details. And then years later, I came across the actual story and read it. And as I'm reading it, I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, this is what I saw on TV.
Oh, okay.
So it's one for the history books. So
it's one of those late night sci-fi.
It sounds like a fucking sci-fi movie, dude.
What was that TV show? That's not X-Files. It used to come on sci-fi all the time. It was always like kind of paranormal, alien. Damn. It always had that old man's voice that started the intro. Man, I can't remember it.
You're not talking about sightings, are you?
No. It was popular.
Well,
It's kind
so
of
was
black and
sightings.
white.
Oh, Twilight Zone?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. This sounds like something out of Twilight Zone. This story sounds like something off of the Twilight Zone. So, and just for anybody wondering, we are talking about the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter, also known as the Hopkinsville Goblins. So,
Well, let's get into it.
I know the show Hellier goes into this a little bit at the beginning. I'm not going to touch on that too much. Anybody, if y'all want us to go over Hellier, we'll go over Hellier. It's a good story. I don't know how much of it I believe, but it's a good story. Have you ever seen Hellier, Dave?
No, I haven't.
No. It's a good show. You ought to check it out.
One of these
Very
days,
entertaining.
man.
But the way I figured I'd do this is I compiled this hour by hour, to kind of show you not only what happened, but put you into the mindset of the people that were there.
Okay.
So, as I said in the cold open, there were 11 people, 8 adults, 3 children. Okay. Majority are men. But this is rural Kentucky. And you and I have both grown up in the country. You know how those people are, how people in the country are with random people or things showing up uninvited. So,
Right. And Hopkinsville, I don't know where it's at because I don't have anything in here. Kind of.
yeah,
I was trying to
it's
hurry up from getting
Christian
my food.
County. I know that much.
So, the question is it East Kentucky or is it West Kentucky?
Let me take a look real quick. This was in Kelly, but just right outside of Hopkinsville. Kelly's not showing up, so let me look up Hopkinsville. They're both very close together. Kelly is like an unincorporated area around it. Doesn't even look like Kelly's on the map at all. Found Hopkinsville.
Okay, where is Hopkinsville kind of located?
Hopkinsville is just north of the Tennessee border. So it's western Kentucky.
Okay, so this is going to be Appalachia.
Yeah. So if you are leaving Nashville, you get on 45.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll take you right up to so 45 is also I-24. So you get on I-24, take that up into Kentucky, get on I-169, and that'll take you right into Hopkinsville.
Okay. I probably have actually been through there, so have you. Didn't even know about it.
Probably. I didn't even realize it was that far west. I thought it was more central. But you ready to get into this?
Let's get into it. Let's give these beautiful bastards something to talk about.
All right. So it all begins about 7 o'clock p.m. All right.
Okay.
As dusk fell at around 7 p.m., Billy Ray Taylor stepped outside to the backyard well to fetch water. A few minutes later, he came running back inside, excitedly claiming he had seen a UFO. According to Billy Ray's account, later given to police and investigators, a bright silvery object, quote, real bright with an exhaust of all the colors of the rainbow, end quote, had silently glided over the house about 30 to 40 feet above, then slowed down and descended into a gully beyond the edge of the property. He believed he had just witnessed a flying saucer land in the nearby field. The others in the house were skeptical and initially laughed off Billy Ray's story, teasing that he must have merely seen a shooting star. No one went to investigate the gully at the time, and the group soon returned to their normal activities inside, assuming the excitement was over. This is a verified fact. I have marked down what is verified and what is unverified. This is verified. Billy Ray's report of a bright flying saucer was noted in later interviews. However, no other eyewitnesses saw this light.
So, one thing, you said all the colors of the rainbow.
Yeah.
So, the only thing I could think of, they were landing for refuel. You ever heard of using water and electrodes to pull the hydrogen out?
Yeah, like a oil slick kind of on water. How it's got all the
No.
colors of the rainbow and stuff.
So, if you're using like hydrogen, what
Mm-hmm.
happens is when you start burning hydrogen, the exhaust is water.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what happens? This is what, summertime, correct?
August 21st. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
so summer.
A
So,
very warm August 21st.
so we're in summer. It's 7 o'clock, so it's still daylight outside.
Mm-hmm.
So this sounds like water particles to me
Possibly.
being hit by the sun.
Yeah, possibly.
So, no, I could be wrong on that, but
Well, 7 o'clock. That's it says right around dusk. So yeah, that's right around dusk.
what happens when you hit water with light?
Yeah, prism.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing happened about an hour later, around 8 p.m. The family dog began barking frantically outside. The dog's agitation grew intense, then suddenly it cowered and hid under the house, refusing to come out for hours. The animal would not reappear until the next day. Sensing something unusual lurking in the darkness, Lucky Sutton and Billy Ray Taylor grabbed a flashlight and cautiously went to the back door to see what had upset the dog. They immediately noticed a strange glow approaching from the fields behind the house. As the glow came closer, the two men were astonished to make out the figure of a small humanoid creature walking toward them in the yard. In official statements, the men described the entity in vivid detail. It was about 3 to 3.5 feet tall, with an oversized, almost perfectly round head and large eyes that glowed with a yellowish light. Had long, spindly arms that nearly reached the ground, ending in oversized hands with talon-like claws. Its ears were described as large, pointed, and bat-like, extending outward from the side of the head. The creature's entire body gave off an eerie, silvery luminosity in the dark. One witness compared it to the faint glow of radium on a watch dial. So, like, you know, the glow-in-the-dark watches?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. I'm sitting here trying
It
to
appeared...
picture this
Oh, I'll
entity.
get you a picture here in a second. It appeared to be made of or wearing some shiny metal skin or clothing. And when it moved, it did so in a peculiar gliding or floating manner rather than normal walking. The being was slowly approaching the back porch with its hands raised above its head as if in surrender or greeting. Startled and terrified by the intruder's appearance, Lucky and Billy Ray reacted on instinct. Being rural Kentuckians, what do you think that was?
They probably pulled their rifles and about ready to shoot their ass.
Being rural Kentuckians, they had ready access to firearms in the house. They grabbed a 20-gauge shotgun and a 22 caliber rifle, which were kept loaded for varmint control. Taking positions just inside the back door, the two men waited until the little humanoid came within about 20 feet of the doorway, its hands still raised. Then both men opened fire simultaneously through the screen door. One blast of shotgun pellets and a rifle shot struck the creature at close range. Incredibly, the small being did not fall dead or bleed. Instead, as the witnesses later described it, it flipped backwards and somersaulted from the impact, then scrambled upright and ran off into the darkness beyond the yard. The men noted a strange metallic ricochet sound, like bullets striking a metal bucket, when their shots hit the entity. Despite being hit squarely, the creature appeared unharmed, retreating into the night.
Well, they said it was wearing some type of like armor.
Like metal clothing, yeah, is what it looked
Yeah.
like.
So, I mean, so if it's wearing something like that, they're probably shooting birdshot at it. I mean, it's not going to do much.
Yeah, yeah, and granted, it's a 22 and a 20 gauge. It's not going to do a whole lot. I just sent you a picture. That is a sketch made of what they saw.
The fuck? That looks like a fucking robot.
Kinda, yeah,
You know, it reminds me of Cybermen.
yeah. And keep in mind, this is 1955 rural Kentucky. Like, the home was a dirt floor house. I don't think they knew what robots were. Like, I'm not meaning that to be degrading or anything, but
Yeah.
come on.
That,
You know?
that's like Doctor Who's Cybermen bullshit. Is what it looks like.
Yeah, yeah. So, I told you, this is interesting. And that's just the first encounter, okay?
Okay.
From 8:30 to 10:30. All right? That's the next segment. For a moment, the Sutton farmhouse fell quiet after the first entity fled. The two men returned to the interior, adrenaline pumping, while the family tried to make sense of what had just happened. However, this was just the beginning. Over the next 2 to 3 hours, the family claimed to be under siege by multiple of these creatures, in what has become one of the most famous and bizarre close encounter stories ever told. Minutes after the first creature disappeared, a second similar being was spotted peering in through a side window of the house. The men fired at it through the window screen, blasting another hole in it at point-blank range. Again, the strange entity was seemingly hit, flipped over, and vanished into the night seemingly unhurt. At no point did the intruders ever make a sound or attempt direct communication. They merely lurked or floated around the edges of the house, popping up at windows and doorways as if testing the humans' reactions. Moments later, the family's terror reached a new level. Billy Ray stepped out the front door onto the small porch, perhaps intending to get a better look outside or determine if a creature had been shot down. As he stood under the porch overhang, a clawed hand suddenly reached down from the roof and touched his hair. The others screamed in alarm and yanked Billy Ray back inside. Lucky rushed out and fired upward, shooting point blank at a creature perched on the roof overhang above the door, knocking it off. At nearly the same moment, another small being was seen perched in a nearby maple tree. Lucky and Billy Ray blasted at that one as well, and the figure floated to the ground when struck rather than falling normally. They shot again at the fallen creature, and it too scurried off into the woods in the darkness. According to the family's account, do what?
It sounds more like the creatures they're more curious
Yeah,
about them.
like it reached down and touched his hair. It didn't like grab at him or anything. It just kind of
like, oh, what is this?
yeah.
We don't have this. Like,
Yeah. It's
so
curious.
maybe there's some overreacting here of the unknown.
So, overreacting on the part of the family, yes, maybe. But let's say these were just curious aliens. Does that comfort you?
A little bit, but at the same
Like,
time,
can
like,
you fault the family for reacting the way they did?
man, I get it. I really do. Okay, I really
Yeah.
do. Like, we're 1950s. We don't know shit about aliens, really.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard about them with Roswell. What? Roswell,
Maybe
what,
they
1940?
heard about Roswell. That was 8 years ago. 8 years before this event. Maybe they heard about Roswell. Remember, news still traveled pretty slowly back then, especially
Yeah,
in these rural areas.
right. But I think by then they probably heard about Roswell, whether it be
It's
by
possible.
paper. I mean, you
Or
probably had
word of mouth.
some televisions,
Well,
but mostly going to be
this
radios.
home had no television, no radio, and no phone.
Okay, so they probably heard about it in town with a newspaper then.
Maybe. Yeah, it's possible.
So
I'm not saying they didn't.
I think this is going to be a thing of curious aliens. That's what it's starting to sound like. With a family overreacting, freaking out that we've now got creatures that are not human.
Yeah.
Probably being rural Kentucky, being in the South, but it's going to be more further north or northern South, I would say. So there's
Yeah.
probably some,
Not quite the deep South.
yeah, probably some heavy racial tensions. If you ain't looking white, you ain't right type shit.
Possible. This is still, before the civil rights movement and all that.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Well, let's continue going because I'm starting to pick this apart and kind of I'm looking at it at a
Yeah.
different aspect. But I'm very interested in this. So
It's a cool story, ain't it?
yeah, I like this.
According to the family's account, at most 2 of the creatures were seen at any one time during the siege. They would appear, be shot or fired at, then disappear, only to reappear elsewhere moments later. This gave the impression of there being many creatures. Early press reports later exaggerated the number to 12 or 15 little men. But Mrs. Langford, the matriarch, insisted they never saw more than one at a time. The beings seemed to move with lightning quickness and almost spectral agility. When hit by gunfire, they did not fall like a normal animal, but often gently floated to the ground, uprighted themselves, and fled with astonishing speed on all fours, using their long arms to pull themselves along as much as their legs. The creatures showed a curious aversion to the house lights. Family members noticed the entities tended to approach only from the darker areas of the yard, perhaps avoiding the porch lights that had been switched on. Their large yellow eyes had no pupils or eyelids, leading some eyewitnesses to speculate the beings disliked bright light.
You're fine.
For the
I'm
next
listening.
2 to 3 hours, the family huddled indoors as these miniature beings intermittently circled the house. The men took turns guarding the doors with firearms, while the women and children mostly stayed crouched inside in fear, crying and praying. Occasionally, scratching or tapping sounds were heard on the roof or at the walls, triggering another volley of gunfire from the defenders at any moving shadow. In one instance, a creature was seen clambering onto the rooftop. A shot knocked it off, and it drifted 40 feet down to a fence line before scampering away into the woods. No matter how many rounds were fired, none of the strange intruders were killed or captured. Aside from the eerie glow of their bodies and eyes in the darkness, and the family's own gunshots, the beings made no audible noise. The only other uncanny sign was a faint greenish luminosity allegedly left in the yard where one had been shot, on a fence and on the ground, which later could be natural foxfire fungus on decaying wood. This detail emerged in post-event investigations and remains disputed. By around 11 p.m., after nearly 3 hours of nerve-wracking encounters, the family reached a breaking point. With children crying in fear and ammunition running low, they decided their only hope was to flee and get help. During a brief lull, no creature had been seen for some minutes. The entire group of 11 people piled into 2 vehicles and sped away from the farmhouse, heading straight for Hopkinsville for help. They left lights burning and doors open in their panic. It was later noted that these were tough, self-reliant country folk, not prone to seeking authorities for help. The police chief would later emphasize that the kind of people who don't run to the police for help, were utterly petrified, lending credibility to the alarm in their report. One of the adult men's hands were noted to be shaking, and his pulse registered a frantic 140 beats per minute at the station, which was clear signs of genuine terror. Whatever had transpired at the Sutton farm, The witnesses were undeniably convinced their lives had been in danger.
Oh, okay. So they were scared so bad they fled to town.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you something. You've been in some hairy situations. Have you ever been so scared that you wanted to run into town?
No.
No.
I'm just sitting here thinking.
I see the wheels turning.
Well, you know, when I get to thinking, like, there's many substances that glow.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I put here. They had determined that glow was most likely foxfire fungus, which is a naturally occurring thing in that
Right.
area.
Now, I've never seen a fungus that just glows in the dark by itself. You know what I
Well, I
mean?
mean, there's all kinds of bioluminescent funguses,
Yeah. So, I
fungi.
mean, it's something I've
You
never
know,
seen. Be interesting, though.
yeah.
Especially if you ate it. Like, would your mouth glow? I mean, think about it, man. It'd be like a rave in your mouth. And the next question is, would you shit glowing shit if you
Dude,
ate it
that's what
in
I'm
the
more
form?
interested in.
Yeah. Um. Anyhow. Um. But so they might have bioluminescent blood, but would
Maybe
also account for possibly why their eyes glowed the way they did.
possible.
It could also be what uh, they eat as well,
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
their body breaks it down.
It's
Um,
possible.
I still think it's going to be a case of curious aliens, but this also could be biological, and the family's tripping balls.
Yeah, you're talking some kind of like schizophrenia or something.
I'm not talking schizophrenia. I'm talking about like more like an
Mass hallucin
hallucinogen.
or yeah, yeah, like oh god. Um
Mass hallucination. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
mass hallucination, but where it's a specific group of people. Like
Yeah.
I can't remember the term.
So,
But here's my thing. For them all to be hallucinating the same thing.
I mean, okay, and I agree with you on that. I've never known somebody to say, "Hey, yeah, my trip was the same as my buddies. I saw this, my buddy saw this, blah blah blah." Like, I've
Yeah.
never come across that. But that's also not how can I put it? It's not engineered. It's natural.
Yeah.
Let's say rural Kentucky, U.S. government's doing some sneaky shit. Look, we're in the fucking 50s. Okay?
What?
U.S. government,
Government doing
unfortunately,
some sketchy shit? No. No, the government wouldn't do anything like that.
yeah. Um, the fuckers have been known to do some weird shit.
Our
So, I mean,
government? No.
so a biological hallucinogen that they
Yeah.
may have
Yeah.
thrown into the water, or like, hey, we'll give you $1,000. Which I mean back then, $1,000 is like probably 100 grand today,
Yeah.
maybe more. Um, and slipped it into their food, and then they bought it. Like, who the fuck knows? Could go down that route.
It,
I
not
do
saying
think,
it's not possible.
right. I do think they overreacted. But
their overreaction, I think, was justified.
yeah, to a point, because it's something they don't understand. It's a creature they've never seen, and it's weird. They don't know if it's attacking. They don't know if it's
I'll tell
friendly.
you this: if I'm at home and I see one of those motherfuckers walking up, I'm blasting. Like, I'm shooting.
Don't lie to Cody. You're gonna bend over, like, all right, it's time for me to be probed. Don't lie.
They're gonna have to take me alive. They're gonna have to take me alive.
Man, I don't know if I'm.
My biggest thing, and the biggest reason I think this is at least the majority of it is real, is the odds of 11 people all seeing the same thing and having the exact same encounter. I'm with you. I've never heard of two people having the same trip, but let's just say it's possible. Okay?
Yeah.
That two people can have the same trip. 11 seems a lot more unlikely to me.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
And you know, the funny thing is, I wish I knew everybody that was involved in this, like names, because I bet you we could go a lot deeper into this.
Oh, we're about to get into the investigation and everything.
Okay. Let's hop into the investigation.
Because there was a massive investigation.
Okay, let's get into that. Oh,
all
shit.
Right. Around 11 p.m., the two cars screeched to a halt at the Hopkinsville City Police headquarters. 5 adults and 7 children, by one count, poured into the station, hysterical and begging for help. The group, which indeed included 8 adults and 3 children, some sources differ on the head count, told officers an almost unbelievable tale. Small alien creatures from a spaceship had attacked their farmhouse, and they had been holding them off with gunfire for nearly 4 hours. The adults, Elmer Lucky Sutton and Billy Ray Taylor foremost among them, described how these short, goblin-like entities kept popping up at doors and windows, impervious to bullets. Given the palpable fear and urgency of the family's plea, the women and children were sobbing and the men visibly agitated. Police Chief Russell Greenwell and his officers took the report seriously. All officers later noted that the witnesses appeared genuinely terrified and sober, and that this was not an elaborate prank in their estimation. Fearing that there could be gunplay with unknown intruders still occurring in the Kelly community, whether alien or not, the police responded as if dealing with a real emergency. Chief Greenwell quickly assembled a combined force to investigate the remote farm. Within minutes, multiple law enforcement agencies mobilized. 4 city police, 5 state troopers from the Kentucky State Police, and 3 deputy sheriffs converged at the Hopkinsville police station and organized a response. Additionally, 4 military police, or MPs, from the U.S. Army's Fort Campbell, located nearby across the border in Tennessee, volunteered to assist, presumably because of the peculiar alien invasion aspects of the call. Just over a half hour after the family's arrival, sometime around 11:30 p.m., this contingent of heavily armed officers and MPs set out in multiple squad cars towards the Sutton farmhouse in Kelly. They brought along spotlights, flashlights, and weapons, preparing for a potential shootout in the dark countryside. Also accompanying them was a photographer from the Kentucky New Era, the local newspaper, since the sensational report had already reached the press via police channels. Notably, there was no direct phone at the farm to call for help. The family's dash to town was the first notice anyone had of the incident, which is why the press and military became aware so quickly once the family reported it in person. So you got police, multiple agencies, and the fucking military.
Well, the military just got hard on because it said aliens. And like I said, we're like 7-8 years after Roswell. They're like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. But
okay.
that's no small force.
No, this ain't a forcibly
That's no
recognized.
small force.
No.
Yeah. The convoy of police and MPs arrived at the deserted farmhouse before midnight. The scene that greeted them was quiet and dim. No sign of monsters or saucers, only an empty, bullet-riddled home. Officers spread out in a coordinated search of the house, outbuildings, and the grounds. They conducted a thorough sweep of the property using flashlights and even deployed floodlights in the yard. Neighbors from adjacent farms had by then also ventured towards the property out of curiosity or concern. Over the next hour or more, law enforcement found no intruders and no footprints or blood trails that might indicate anyone or anything had been shot. There was no evidence of any spaceship or paranormal beings. However, the police did document abundant physical evidence of a gunfight. Almost every window and door screen had holes blown through it. The front door frame was damaged by shotgun blasts, and spent shell casings littered the floor and porch. It looked as if the family had indeed been shooting at something or someone. In official reports, the officers noted the genuine distress of the witnesses and that no alcohol or intoxicants were found on the premises, dispelling one early theory that the night might have been imagined under drunkenness. They interviewed the Suttons and Taylors individually about what happened, and despite minor differences in perspective, all the stories matched on the core details. Small glowing humanoids had repeatedly approached the house and could not be shot down. The consistency of these independent statements, especially from sober country folk with no history of trouble, left the police somewhat perplexed. For approximately 2 hours, officers and the accompanying soldiers canvassed the area. A few strange but inconclusive details were noted. In the front yard, one officer thought he glimpsed a faint, strange light out in the field, but it could not be pinpointed and later was suggested to be a foxfire glow on rotting wood in the distance. Some investigators thought they detected an odd luminous patch along a fence where one of the creatures was reportedly shot. But again, in the dark, it was hard to discern if this was something extraordinary. Importantly, no blood tracks, or other physical traces of the little men were found. Nothing to verify the creature sightings beyond the bullet damage and the family's testimony. By 2 a.m. on Monday, August 22nd, the search was concluded without results. The Hopkinsville police and others began departing the scene, somewhat skeptical of the fantastic story, but unable to fully explain the tangible evidence of gunfire and the family's terror. The official conclusion that night was that something had clearly scared the occupants, but whatever it was had vanished. The officers told the family that if the creatures returned, they should notify the authorities at once. It was noted by the police that the family truly seemed afraid to return home, even at that time. Mrs. Langford, in particular, was trembling and reluctant to go back, but eventually most of the group did return to the farmhouse after the search, once reassured by police presence.
So no trace, which would make sense because they said
Nothing.
They seem like they floated instead of actually walked. So I mean, if you're, yeah. But didn't you say this was some of these people were part of a carnival?
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Some of them were carnival workers.
here's a theory.
Okay.
Here's a theory. What are the odds that one of the carnival workers wanted to fuck around with this family because they're probably regulars? Okay. So they get their little people from the carnival, dress them up in little metal suits that will probably take a 20 gauge blast and a 22, probably just ring their dome pretty good, and have them kind of terrorize the family.
I mean, maybe.
But at the
Good
same
Lord, I'm
time,
scrolling through what I've got. We're nowhere near being done.
oh shit, there might be a part 2 on this.
I think we're gonna have to do a part 2. Holy shit, we're about halfway through everything I have.
Let's do this. Let's do a part 2 on this. Since
Okay.
we're back at the residence. Okay?
Yeah.
And now I might want to do some digging.
Well, I tell you what. Let me do this next portion,
Okay.
because this is the last that happens before dawn, before the sun comes up.
Okay,
Okay?
let's do that then.
All right. Incredibly, the night was not quite over. Approximately an hour after the police left, at about 3:30 a.m. in the early hours of August 22nd, the family claimed the strange beings returned to the property. According to accounts later given to neighbors and police, the creatures, or perhaps the same creatures as before, reappeared from the woods and resumed peering into windows and crawling around the yard. The exhausted family did not engage in further shooting. Their ammunition was likely low, and they may have been too frightened to provoke another confrontation. Instead, they huddled inside until just before dawn. The witnesses reported that the last sighting of the night occurred around the break of dawn, after which the goblin-like entities finally disappeared for good. As soon as it was light, the family packed up and permanently left the farmhouse, seeking shelter at a relative's home in fear that the creatures might return yet again. When state police and Deputy Sheriff George Batts stopped by the farm on Monday morning to follow up, they found the house abandoned and silent, with obvious signs that the family had left hastily. A neighbor corroborated that around 3:30 a.m. the family had frantically driven off again, convinced the aliens had come back after the officers departed. The second late-night visitation was not witnessed by police, so it remains supported only by the family's word. Law enforcement did another daylight check of the property on August 22nd, but once more found no tracks or physical evidence of any strange creatures. Only the bullet holes and damage from the shootout remained as a testament to the night's events.
Mm. I
I
don't
see the
know.
wheels turning again.
I don't know. Like, okay, they left,
Mm-hmm.
then came back. Everybody departs. The goblins come back, but it's like they're the only ones seeing them.
Kinda.
You know what I mean? So it's like there's something in the
Mm-hmm.
house.
Kinda. But then how do you explain the flying saucer that Billy Ray saw?
That's true.
We can't prove that the flying saucer and these creatures are
They
connected,
coinciding.
but because they were never seen going in or out of this flying saucer.
Right. This it sounds like some biological.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like nobody sees anything when they show up, but the people see it again after they're there for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's in?
Like something. It almost feels like a gas leak or something.
Yeah.
Like something at the property is causing them to see it.
Yeah.
But again,
Can't prove
devil's
it.
advocate here. Again, let's say that's what it was. What are the odds of all 11 people seeing the exact same thing?
Yeah, and exactly that'd be astronomical odds. Man, if those odds were
Yeah.
actually right, like, I'm going to the casino and using those odds because I'm about to win a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Hands down. Hands down.
So,
Because I agree with you completely. It sounds like something at the farmhouse is causing them to see these things. But then the other side of that, what are the odds that all 11 people see the same thing?
slim to none. What, 1 in a
Yeah.
million? 1 in a
And
billion?
Slim has already walked out the fucking door.
Yeah. Like a fat chance.
Yeah. So.
I have better odds winning the lottery than that happening.
Do what?
I said I have better odds of winning the lottery.
Yeah. That's my point. That's
Yeah,
my point.
dude, I don't know. This is going to be interesting.
It's a fun story, though, ain't it?
Yeah. I'm sitting here trying to pick this apart, but, like, how do you pick something apart like this?
Yeah.
Little green aliens.
Well, I'll let you spend. Here's a novel idea. Why don't you spend a week trying to dissect the story up until this point? Okay? And then when we reconvene, let's reconvene Friday, okay?
We'll try to, yeah.
Let's reconvene. And when we do, we will begin with the second investigation.
Uh-huh.
All right? We'll do the
Round
second
2.
investigation, the press coverage, military reactions, and then we'll go through explanations and theories that people
Okay.
have. And we'll finish it off with the folklore that has come out of this story.
Sounds good.
All right?
Well,
Like I said, we're only about halfway through my notes.
Oh, Lord. All right, y'all.
So,
Y'all heard it from the code. We're going to do a part 2. I'm going to spend a week dissecting. Remember, like, share, follow. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. And we'll see y'all next week. All right, buddy.
all right.
I'll at you
Later,
later.
brother.
Later.